characters in chapter 2 of Once, we find that Felix has a new friend. And if we go to page 12, we see that Yankel is his name. Yankel is hiding in the toilet in this part here. Yankel's been here for 2 weeks, so he's fairly new. Now, if we flip over to a few pages over, page 15, we see this. Felix wonders. As we go out into the dormitory, I find myself wondering if Yankel is Jewish. He's got dark eyes like me. This is an indication. It's indication that Yankel may well be Jewish, and probably is. Felix recognises that they look similar and they look different from the rest of the boys there. And so he's concluding that Yankel is Jewish. Now, if we go back, we find that Yankel is in the toilet hiding, and he's hiding from a torture squad of Marak, Talek, and Boris. They are the 3 boys that are mentioned in chapter 1, and Adok is a new one added to that group. So Adok is the new character there. And we found out more about these boys, that they consider themselves a torture squad and they go around torturing people. And of course, they try to flush Yankel's head down the toilet, and Felix stops them. Okay, the next set of characters that are important in the novel Once the reference to them is found on page 12, just here. The people rock up in the cars to the orphanage. It's not mum and dad, it's just a bunch of men in suits with armbands. Now, he doesn't really know who they are. He describes these people as a bunch of men in suits with armbands. You get the impression that Yankel is hiding in the toilet from these people. Now, who are these people? Who are these bunch of men that have arrived in suits and armbands? It's understandable that Felix doesn't know who they are, but it's important for us to know who they are so that we understand what's going on in the story. These people are the Geheime Staatspolizei. That's the SS or the Gestapo. This is Hitler's police force. The Gestapo were responsible for rounding up Jewish people and taking them off to concentration camps. Here's a picture of the Gestapo. You can see that they're a bunch of men in suits, and the armband that we're referring to is right in the centre of your screen. It has the Nazi Party symbol. On to look at some literary devices that are used in chapter 2 of the novel Once. Felix has a friend called Yankel in chapter 2. This very well may be an allusion to a famous Polish Jew called Yankel Wajenik. Yankel Wajenik was a man in Poland during World War II. He was transported to a death camp called Treblinka. Here is a picture of Yankel, and here is a picture of the train station at Treblinka. Yankel Wajenik wrote a book called A Year in Treblinka because he escaped from the concentration camp and made known to the world through this book what was really happening in Poland. So by using the name Yankel in reference to a famous Polish Jew at that time, we have an allusion to something outside of the book. The next literary device that's used in Once is found on page 10, and I'd like you to underline this bit about the sun is peeping. Now, when we say the sun is peeping, suns can't actually peep at all. Suns can't do anything but what suns do. This is called personification, or the technical term is anthropomorphism. It's giving inanimate objects, plants or animals, human actions, thoughts or feelings. So people can peep over a fence, but the sun can't peep over the horizon. This is called personification. The last literary device that we're going to look at today is called dramatic irony. Now, dramatic irony is when the person in the story thinks that something's going on that isn't the case. But the reader of the story knows that it's not the case. So a good example of dramatic irony is found on page 12. The men in the car are probably just officials from the Catholic head office. So Felix thinks they're just officials from the head office of the church. But we know that these people are Gestapo, Nazis. So we have a dramatic irony because the person in the story believes that there's something that actually isn't the case. So what I wrote down is dramatic irony. They're not Catholic officials, they're Nazi officials, probably Gestapo or the German secret police. So he thinks they're one thing, but as the reader, we know that's not the case. That causes tension, and that tension is called dramatic irony.